Welcome to the AGB Mindset Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to share our journey and what we're doing to stay motivated, inspired, and driven to always get better.
We're building a community that never backs down from a challenge and seeks out discomfort. By taking part in this podcast, we hope you'll be inspired to become a part of the community and join us in our journey to always get better.
You want me to kick it off, or you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off.
All right.
So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the AGB Mindset Podcast. This is episode 7, and last week I had one guest for the first time. This week I have 2, so kind of crazy.
Going up in the world.
Am I a guest?
You're a guest again. No, Mac.
This was our podcast.
Mac is my co-host. We co-host this podcast, but I've just taken ownership of it for the first 4 episodes, and then since then it's just been, yeah. But so you guys know Mac, co-host of the AGB Mindset Podcast, and then we have our buddy Zach here today, and Zach is, he's never really shown his face on my Instagram very much, or my YouTube or TikTok or anything like that, but he has been behind everything because
in one way or another.
Yeah, bumbling idiot when it comes to technology, and Zach has just taught me so much with that kind of stuff over the years, and also helped me out with, like videos, pictures, so much stuff over the years. And I mean, like when we started hanging out, when we became friends, you were like kind of just getting into this, and you were helping me out more of like, hey, I need to practice, and like you want this kind of stuff done for your business, so like why don't I come and take pictures and videos and stuff like that. And obviously you've become a master of what you do, I would say. I mean,
I wouldn't say a master.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who does what you do at the level that you do it. I mean, like obviously your coworker Levi, but other than you guys, like whenever I talk about Open Fire Media, the company that you work for, people are like, oh yeah, those guys are badass. Like there's definitely a respect and a reverence for you guys, like around the community, that like you guys are legit, like even from people who are doing what you're doing, you guys just command a lot of respect, and there's a reason why. So
that's cool.
Why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do and who you are.
Yeah, I'm Zach Bishop. I kind of started out my career in engineering. I was in food manufacturing. Realized very quickly that I hated that. I could not go to the same place, do the same thing, see the same people every single day. It's not the kind of person I am. I'm a very like extrovert. I need to move around. So I met Levi and kind of made that transition. I was going to college, I was working engineering, and I was working in the film industry all at the same time. And then once I became good enough, it just kind of made sense for me to make the transition and just do video full time. So what we specialize in at Open Fire is like sports and fitness.
Right.
And I specialize specifically in manufacturing, or food manufacturing, CPG manufacturing. So, we have a lot of clients, but basically if you have anything in your house, whether it be food, makeup, anything like that, like I've been to the place that makes it.
Right.
So I make videos for them, welcome videos, all kinds of videos for that kind of industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So are you making like welcome videos for the employees?
Yeah. So like if say Nestle.
Yeah.
It's like we want a welcome video. Essentially what it is like somebody gets onboarded, and then on the first day they watch this video, 5 to 10 minute video. It's essentially the CEO saying, "Hey, welcome to the company. This is our history.
Gotcha.
This is like we're so excited to have you guys here." Yeah.
So you're the guy behind the boring first day trainings that everybody has.
Mine aren't boring. Mine are not boring. No.
I was gonna say, because I've seen some of your videos and they're like very like kind of fast paced. At least the videos that I've seen, like kind of fast paced, lots of different colors and sounds.
Well, that's the sports and fitness part coming in. Like there's no manufacturing, there's no other video editing company that I'm aware of in the US that makes manufacturing look as cool as we do. Because we bring a sports and fitness element to it, whereas a lot of people aren't used to that, and they don't want it, and they want it to feel corporate and bland and whatever, because it's easy.
Right.
And it's like we're kind of testing the waters, and how far can we go in making things look different in the manufacturing industry while still like maintaining that respect within the industry.
Right, for sure.
That's interesting.
I mean, I've seen your projects, obviously, being friends with you for so long, like super, super creative stuff for like meat packing companies. It's like, damn, bro, like this is like you're taking what everybody else would have done a video like black and white, boring as hell, to like the next level of like this meat packing company video got me hyped for my day. Like
You want to go work
Want to go get some
there,
Chipotle?
right. But you guys are definitely pushing
Go get
that.
some Chipotle.
You guys are pushing that creative mind just to a different level. Do you feel like one of the questions like that I have for you is, because you're so creative, like, do you feel, first of all, you went into the engineering field going into college, so
I'm not a creative person.
no, that was my question. Like, where is that coming from?
I just have to force myself to think differently because being an engineer is like, it is or it isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
It fits or it doesn't. And with video editing and being creative, it's like, it doesn't fit. How can I make it fit?
Right.
Like, how can I get to the point? 90% of it is like, I've seen something kind of like this before, and I want to achieve this look.
Right.
And it's just, I will sit in Premiere Pro for, Levi sits in Premiere Pro for like 3 weeks just trying to get one graphic done.
Dude.
Wow.
Like, because he wants to achieve that perfect look.
Right.
So,
That's so amazing. Do you feel like you run into issues with like perfectionist mentality when it comes to editing? Because in my experience editing, my small experience editing, I have the mentality of like, I just want to pump this out and just be done with it.
Yeah.
So I will like kind of get as little done as possible and then just post it, just because in my mind I just want to create content and push it out.
right.
And what you're doing is so in depth and in detail. I feel like
So, there's kind of a problem in the industry where, at least at like the medium level, at a high level, you don't get this, but at like just below that and all the way down, people don't even like double check their work. So like, I've had people that I've worked with in the past that have sent me videos that have done work with me, and I'm like, you messed up the easiest thing.
right.
Like, if you just watched the video after you exported it, you would have caught it. Like, why aren't you just
Right.
double checking your work?
Right.
So that's, I don't know, it's annoying because I double triple check everything.
Do you? That's
Yeah,
what I was
because I
gonna
mean
say.
that's like you're putting your name on something, right?
Right.
Whatever work you do in the
Right.
fitness industry and the sales industry, like, that's your reputation. The only thing you have in this world is your name.
Mm-hmm.
So if your name is tied to laziness, like late work, crap work,
Right.
nobody's going to work with you.
Right.
I always like whenever I'm editing something, it's called a project. When you open it up on Premiere, you say start new project or whatever, and I think about that whenever I'm editing together a piece of work, because the way that I always approached projects in school was procrastinate the hell out of it until the very last minute, and then do crap work and turn it in like last second. And that's kind of the way that's the mentality that I've had about these projects that I'm doing with social media, and I'm getting better as I do it. But I feel like that might be like a little bit of the mentality of like, I have this project that I have to complete and there's a deadline, and because there's so much that I'm looking at, I just need to get it done so that like it's good enough to turn in, basically. And there's that mentality that I think people carry on from school, that like, especially, and it's not to say if you weren't a good student then you can't do a good project in Premiere Pro, but like kids who do really well in projects that can plan out, like, not just I'm gonna do this literally the last minute and turn it in the last second, but like the kids who were like working on projects that weren't due for 3 months, those are the kids that are like probably actually pretty successful. That's like one thing about school that I actually do agree with, is the whole like long project thing, because it forces you to plan and prepare.
It doesn't force you.
It doesn't force you, but it encourages you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with also like how you're raised.
Yeah.
Because if you're in your family, everybody's just like, eh.
Yep.
Like, you're probably also going to be, eh.
Yeah, it's a whole mentality. It's like, do you prefer quality over quantity, or do you prefer quantity over quality?
Right.
And I don't think that that's how your mindset is, but maybe you just don't like editing.
It's not that I don't like editing. I have more of I'm in this mindset with social media where I feel like I have to post like 3 reels a day on every single platform. So for me, like last night, I spent an hour and a half making one 30-second reel. And it was like, okay, that's a lot of time for one reel.
Do you want to know how long a 30-second edit that Levi does takes?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right. There's 30-second projects that'll take 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw a YouTube video of like 10 minutes of Mr. Beast just like dropping bombs of knowledge, and his main thing over and over was produce the best video you could possibly produce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's his mindset. Produce the best thing you can produce. Because if you produce crap, yeah, you're getting it out there, but you're like Zach just said, you're known for your name, and then they're gonna associate this account with poor quality videos.
Right.
Versus
now, do you think
quantity.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Do you think that because he's a YouTuber, that applies more so to YouTube than it does something like TikTok? Or do you think it's
100%.
Across the board?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, as much as you kind of are a content creator, like you're not.
No.
That's not your
it's not
living.
My
you're
job.
not making a living off of it. So like,
Yeah,
you don't have to produce this high quality, crazy content all the time. For you, it's a numbers game.
Right.
And it's also like what's gonna stick.
Right.
Which is the hardest thing in the world to figure out on TikTok, especially. Instagram is pretty easy. YouTube, as soon as you kind of start getting going on YouTube, it just kind of picks it up.
Right.
But
you know what's hilarious is like there's a few examples obviously with YouTube, especially because the diversity of content on YouTube is just all over the place. But there's this one guy in particular that I've started following and watch his videos just because he talks about like random interesting topics. His name is Wendigoon, and he made like a conspiracy theory iceberg video where it literally was, this video had to be, he cut it up into 7 parts, and each part was like an hour and a half long. So this video had to have been 13 hours long, and he cut it all up into like basically just explaining, he was sitting at his desk explaining what each conspiracy theory is on this iceberg that he found on Reddit. And that video blew up his channel, that series of videos blew up his channel, and he basically, that's what he does through all of his videos. He'll like read a book and then explain it. And he is a super smart guy, and he's also like very genuine. You can tell in like the way that he presents things and how he tries to be as non-biased as possible. And he has a great personality, but he's not very animated. He's more of just like himself. He just sits down and talks. And he puts a lot of work into these videos though, because like he will have to read an entire book and then read. I mean, like for you to be able to explain something, you need to know it, you know? So he'll read an entire book, I don't know how many times, and then explain it over a 2-hour-long video and put the pictures and like sometimes the writings, and like he'll make quotes and stuff like that. So like he's putting a ton of work into these videos that are literally 2 hours long, and he only posts once every month now, but every time he posts, it's amazing. His videos are great, and they're super informational, they're super exciting and fun, and but yeah, that's an example for like your Mr. Beast example about how, you know, you want to be able to produce high quality content even if you're not doing it every day.
Yeah. Well, that's the hard part. Like with the clients that I work with, sometimes they're like quantity. Well, when you do quantity, quality suffers every single time. So I can't do all the crazy things that you want me to do on this video if you want me to get 6 other videos done this week. Like it's just not feasible. I have to go to sleep. So I always preach quality over quantity because, again, this company, people are watching their videos. Do you want them to be like, this is like, or like, this looks awesome?
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what you want when you're talking about your branding and who you are and what you do. I mean, you want people to look at what you do and be like, that guy makes sick videos, you know?
Right.
And that's something that I think I definitely need to get better at and learn more about, like, I guess just being more patient with myself in the video editing process, because I'll spend 2 hours on something and then I'm like, I just need to be done with this. Like, I need to be done and post it. And then I get done and I post it and I look at it, I'm like, there's so many different things that I could have done here that would have been really, really cool and a lot more thoughtful and in-depth. And I skipped out on it, not because I was being lazy, but because I wanted to get on to the next project, you know?
Right.
And yeah, there's
Well,
just
as
a
long as
mentality shift.
I mean, you're pretty new to it too. Like, you're just really starting to learn Adobe
Yeah.
and post a lot more. So the
Right.
more you'll get more efficient, number one, so it's not going to take you as long, and you're going to learn from every video you post. So you're just going to get better and better, and you're going to see things in the last video that you didn't see, and you're going to apply it to the next video.
Right.
So it's a process too.
Right.
It's
How do
not-
you feel about all this? Because you really, I mean, like, I am just getting into, like, more in-depth YouTube editing with, like, Adobe and stuff like that, but I've
Yeah.
also been making content for years.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel kind of getting into this now over the last month or two?
I am very, like, uncomfortable. I feel like just because I'm so new, I'm uncomfortable, like, recording myself. And I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera a little bit.
I hate this. Like, I am so used to being on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a weird thing
Yeah.
to get used to, but
Yeah.
the more I do it, the more comfortable I get. Because, like, the first video we did, you seemed, like, way more, like familiar with being in front of the camera. You seem way more comfortable than I did.
he's been doing that for so
Yeah,
long.
it's just because he's been doing it so long. And
Right.
I love editing, though.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling Seth this the other day. I literally, like, it's my favorite part. Like, I can record content. I'm not good at, like, angles yet and, like, just, like, certain things that you want to capture in a video that would make it good. I'm not too good at that. But, like, editing, I can spend all day editing. I fucking love it.
Is it because you're excited to see the final product?
No, I'm excited to make something cool out of the footage.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny. People, like,
I guess yes. Then
Yeah.
yeah.
people were, you know, in this area, we were kind of talking about this last time, like, people are really uncomfortable with you, like, recording around this area just because it's not the norm. Like, if you go
Right.
to Chicago,
It's
people
normal.
are recording everything.
Right.
But in Northwest Indiana, like, people don't see people out with cameras out all the time. Like, I was recording in the coffee shop for literally 3 seconds today, and I, like,
Everyone
was
looked at
doing
you.
this, and this guy, like, looked right at my camera, like, what is this guy doing? It's like it's like he brought a gun into the store,
Yeah.
and everybody just looks at you. And
At the end of the day, people don't really care, though.
yeah, but people don't. Yeah, people don't care. And then I was recording yesterday with my client Max. We worked out together, and then we went golfing. And I, like, kind of just wanted to do, like, a vlog style recording session. And he was definitely uncomfortable in front of the camera for, like, a few, like, during the workout. And then as we got golfing and he started doing it, he started to get more and more comfortable. And then when we got done, he's like, dude, I'm so hyped to see what that looks like by the end of it. He's like, I'm going to be watching that video all summer long, or all winter long, looking back at our golf times during the summer.
I think as you guys, like, evolve into being content creators and things like that, the biggest thing to do, a lot of people sometimes feel like they have to put on a show or become this different person, or, like,
Yeah.
like, you hit record and people don't even recognize who you are. Just, like, be yourself. Like, have a conversation with the camera, like I'm having a conversation with you right
Yeah.
now. Just keep it normal. Don't.
Dude, that's so
Yeah.
funny that you say that, because I literally was thinking as we started this, it's weird being in front of the camera because the 2 podcasts that I do, I don't have my camera on. So I just kind of have to talk. And it's weird being in front of the camera during a conversation. But I was also just thinking, like, when do people ever do this? Like, imagine the cameras and the microphones weren't here. Would we right now be sitting on this couch
That's
just
the
talking
great
to each
thing
other?
about podcasts, I think, that I like.
Forces
because
conversation.
It forces conversation.
Yeah.
It forces you to listen to what the other person's saying. It forces you to come up with good questions, like active listening, which is not something that I think most people do.
I think we would have conversations like this. I don't think a lot of
Yeah,
other people would.
true.
We have these kind of conversations all the time.
Yeah.
True.
But
But, like, uninterrupted, nobody's looking at their phone, you know, like, we're looking at each other as we're talking to each other.
Right.
And we're also, I personally find an issue with, like, when I'm talking with a camera and a mic around, I try to be this person that I want to present online. And like just going back to what you said about like being yourself, like I was trying to remind myself as we started this that like I want to treat this just like I'm talking to you guys,
right.
and just like we're having a conversation. And it's really hard to do because nobody's doing it. You're not around people that are doing it a lot, and like it just feels weird when you're like creating content and you're showing yourself online, and like every time I post something on Instagram, I'm saying something. I'm relaying some kind of information. Instead of just thinking like, no, I'm just going to be myself and whatever comes out, comes out. And like we could, on this podcast, talk about literally nothing for an hour. And if it was me being me, I'd feel better about that than being like bullet point for 30 minutes of like really quality information, but it's not me. Like it's not who I actually am in person. And that's like the people who do the best online content creators are the people that make you feel like you know them. It's like when I watch your videos, like I feel like I know who you are. Like I want to hang out with you because I know your personality. Like I'm attracted to who you are as a person, not the information that you're giving to me.
There was I've been obsessed with Robert Greene lately, and I haven't read The Art of Seduction yet, but the past 3 podcasts I listened to, he talked about the art of seduction and qualities that make you like anti-seductive, which is basically like
I'm seductive as hell, boy.
I know, man.
As soon as he said anti-seductive, we both looked at each
other. It would be like anti-seductive is like taking a moral high ground in a conversation, like judging somebody for their morals, and not being a good listener is very anti-seductive. And then what would be like seductive is kind of like what you're kind of these podcasts that you're talking about, those hosts kind of portray is like getting the other person to feel like there's no doubt in their mind that they like you. He had an example, like if you're on a date with somebody and the person you're on a date with has this seductive quality, you're never thinking, does this person like me? Like you know that they like you because the way that they carry them, they're very comfortable in their skin. They listen intently, and they're very generous with their soul. Like those are some qualities of like being a seductive person.
That's really interesting because when you're around those people, you just feel good. And like that's one thing that I always want to try. You know, you got to at least I have to remind myself of this. Like there's some people who are probably more naturally like warm and relational in their personalities, and I'm kind of not. Like I feel cold with people sometimes, and I don't want to feel that way because personally, like in my heart, I don't feel that way. Like I love both of you guys, and like you guys are some of my, like you're one of my closest friends, and you're my brother. And when I'm around you guys, I want to feel like we have this like connection and love with each other. But sometimes I am so, I guess like I can be selfish with my time and like stuff like that. So I feel like more transactional with my relationships, and I hate that. Like I hate when I feel like that because I want to feel like I'm showing you that I actually like how I actually feel about you, and it's that I love you and I care for you.
Do you ever feel, or use that like you're around somebody who's not giving that and you want it back from them? Like in a relationship, like a personal relationship with a girl, is like I wish this person would listen to me more, or like I wish this person would ask me more questions about my life, but in reality they're just talking about themselves the whole time you're with them. Like, do you ever crave that they would ask you?
Not really. Personally, I'll let you answer, but like not really. The only thing that bothers me in that regard, like just something that came to mind, is when people will not listen to me and cut me off and start talking about themselves. That's the only time I feel annoyed by people talking about themselves, is when I'm telling them something or they've asked something and we've gotten onto this conversation and I'm telling them something about myself, and then they'll cut me off in the middle of it to tell me something about their self. And it's like, you weren't even listening that whole time I was talking. You were trying to formulate what you were saying about yourself.
So you do kind of feel that way?
Only sometimes with some people.
Yeah. What about you?
So, you know how, like, in the love languages, people always say you give what you want?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same way with
That was what I was getting at.
So, I am a giver. I will give 100% of my time, 100% of my effort. Like, I will listen to you. But I enjoy that. I enjoy learning and like, growing relationships and evolving relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just don't care.
Some people
It, like that, it adds no value to their life.
Yeah.
But because I always give, like, that's what I want.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. Like, when I'm around somebody who's only talking about themselves, I feel like, man, this would be more fun if it was like a two-way street.
Right.
Because I would love to tell you what's going on in my life, but I'm learning all about you. So I have this feeling inside, like there's something missing. Like, I kind of want more interaction. But at the same time, exactly what you said is, like, I have to keep in mind, I have to keep reminding myself that if I want something from somebody, I have to give it first.
Right.
Like, I have to pay attention to you. And it doesn't, like...
Well, some people
It's
are
not
just
like a gift to
incredibly
give.
ostentatious. So that's just who they are.
Define that word for me.
Like, showboaty,
Ostentatious.
like,
Oh, yeah.
just
for
very
sure.
self-inflated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, always wanting to talk about how great they are and stuff. Like,
now
that's...
that you... Sorry.
No, I mean, that's just, like, how some people are. So they're never going to give what you want.
But
Right.
that's okay. That I've come to realize that is true. Like, some people are never going to. And I can't give my attention with the expectation that I'm going to get it back.
Right.
Too.
Now that you say that, too, I feel like I definitely do struggle with that. Where, like, it's not, and going back to what I said before, like, about fostering relationships, it's not that I don't care, and it's not that I don't want that. It's that I don't want to say that, I don't feel like an immediate, like, value and need of it. You know what I mean? And it's hard to explain without sounding super selfish, but, like, I feel like I do this with you a lot, where, like, we'll be talking on the phone, and I'll be kind of talking about myself for so long, and I'll be talking about what I'm doing and what I'm training and this and that, and then I'll remember, like, okay, like, we're on the phone here, and I haven't asked him a single question, and I'll ask you, and it definitely is harder for me to, like, I don't know, when we're on the phone, I should say more than anything, but, like, when we're in person, if you're telling me something, then I can pay attention, like, and I'll listen to you, and I enjoy it a lot, but I guess it's just, like, being more attentive when people are talking to me about themselves. But because when I'm in the gym, when I'm training people, my clients, I don't have my phone out and I'm listening to them, and I'm truly listening to them. Like, I had a great conversation with my client Grant. He told me, you know, a ton of stuff the other day, like personal stuff, and it was a great conversation that we had together, and I felt like I really cared about it, and it was great. But it's when I have that, like, focus and, like, giving that focus to them that I feel like I'm actually getting that. And it's not that I don't want it, it's just that maybe I'm distracted too much, too often, and that's why I'm not listening to people. But yeah, I mean, now that you say that, like, the specific example, I definitely realize that I struggle with that for sure.
Two things. A, whenever you start talking, I immediately just stop listening. Like,
You just tune out.
I just don't even want to listen to you.
This guy's going at
I
it.
don't even know what he said.
Honestly,
Anyway.
man,
What's this podcast even about?
I've been talking to a wall this entire time.
You said two things.
Yeah, I forgot
I
the
was
second
listening
thing.
to you.
I forgot the second thing.
This guy's not even listening to himself.
No, but I do want to, if you guys are cool with it, Max said earlier that you, holy cow, just looked directly at a light bulb. You guys wanted to talk about, like, decision making and kind of the
Yeah.
and so it excited me because so many people struggle with, like, hard decisions, obviously, but, like, easy decisions. A lot of people just want to put it off, or they just don't, like, have a good process on how to make decisions.
Yeah, that was something that when I brought it up, you're like, I could talk about how I make decisions.
It's so,
And I think
but it's
that
so
would be cool.
easy.
Let's do it. I want to hear it.
So hard decisions or easy decisions, it's the same process. Like, everything is black and white. It is or it is not. So, like, if you're making this super hard decision, it's like, you gotta, like, weigh the benefits, but I don't, like, it's just so easy. So like if you, can't even think of like a hard scenario in my head right now, but.
Okay, so if somebody asks you to do this project, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, a new client comes in.
Yeah.
What's your decision process if you take them on or if
What's
you
your
don't?
budget?
So
is
how
it,
much?
Is it worth my time? Like
yeah,
if
what's
you're
the
gonna,
ROI on this?
Right, because there are so many costs associated with making a video. So, like, is expenses included in that budget?
Right.
Like,
if we run into bigger expenses.
Right. And I'm happy to, like, if I know you, I'll do work with you for like a discounted rate. But if you're a large company and you come to me and you say, we want a 10-minute video, I'm like, okay, that's, you know, a 2 or 3 day shoot. Are expenses included? No. Okay, well, if it's lower than I'd just say no. Like,
right.
It's not worth it.
Right.
Or I'll give it to somebody else who I think like they would take it.
Yeah, so
But-
that's like a business scenario.
Right,
So
that's what I
you
was gonna
obviously
say.
have to understand yourself and your expenses and then subtract that from what they're offering.
Right.
So you have to obviously be aware of that. And then in a personal matter, how do you make decisions based on
I don't
who you hang out with or
well, I
who
don't
you
bring
date?
empathy into it, which I think is just a personality trait of mine. Like I don't bring feelings into decision making. Because I feel like a lot of people make emotionally driven decisions all the time,
Yeah.
and because of that, they'll mess up.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's very black and white. If you can do something about it, do it. If you can't,
Right.
don't. Like it's so simple.
I agree with you that that's the best way to go about it. And I'm not saying that I have the right answer here. I think that there are plenty of answers that could be had when it comes to these scenarios. But like business stuff, I 100% agree with you. Business to me is black and white as well. Like, are we going to be a good fit together? What's your budget? Is it worth my time? Is it worth your investment? And if the answer is no, then it's no. You know, and I would 100% agree with that in business. But in your personal life, I would disagree that things are black and white. And the only reason I say this is because I used to be very much so that way, and it's not to say that I've like grown past that or whatever. I just have a different perspective now, and
Being married probably changes
being
that a
married
lot.
has changed a lot, and making that commitment to somebody, because when you are in a marriage or in a relationship, like things can be looked at in a black and white way, but it's not the best way to look at it. It is better than looking at it purely emotionally, obviously, but you need a mix of emotion with the black and white decision making. Because if I am, okay, let's use this example. My wife asks if I want to go on vacation. Feeling, yes, I do want to go on vacation. Black and white, looking at our budget, no, I don't want to go on vacation. Feeling, my wife wants to go on vacation and I want to please her. So yes, I want to go on vacation. Black and white, we don't have time for vacation with everything going on. So no, we don't go on vacation. If I just look at the black and white, then I say no based on the situation that we're in. If I just look at the feeling, I say yes with no logic involved.
So do you go on vacation or do you not?
Yeah.
So do we go on vacation or do we not? This is where you need to, and this is what you said about like easy decisions and hard decisions.
And it's an easy decision.
It's an easy decision if you are, it's an easy decision if you can have harmony with the decision. But if you can't have harmony with the decision, what I mean by that is if I say no, like, is there a good justifiable reason for me to say no? Like a solid justifiable reason. Like, it's maybe a little bit outside of our budget. Like, obviously, if you're asking for a ridiculous vacation, then it's an obvious no. But if it's like maybe just a little bit outside of the budget and we don't have that much time to do it, but we haven't been on vacation in X amount of time and I feel like my wife deserves that, then this is why I'm saying that, like, it's not black and white. There's a lot of things that come into play. And I think that what you need addressing those decisions is, first of all, a lot of wisdom, but then you also need, being a Christian, I would say, time and prayer and, like, the ability to actually sit and think about it and figure it out together. Because if I just say no, like, based on the black and white, then it's like, it's kind of calloused and hard. And you don't want to be that way with your partner.
You don't have to be a dick when you say no.
No,
like
I
you
understand
can
that.
say no.
You can explain it.
Right.
You can explain it and say like no, and here are the reasons why. But
I mean, you're making it sound like a business conversation. It's like, it's like, hey, Britt, no, like, you know, this is X, Y, Z. I mean, I would love to go on vacation with you. We can do it in 2 months, but like right now, we just can't do it.
Right. And maybe that is the answer, but maybe the answer is yes.
I've been thinking a lot about decisions, and this is why I wanted to talk about this on the podcast, just because I was thinking a lot about this week, and not necessarily how to make decisions. What time are we at?
33.
I'm cool with keep going.
Yeah.
If you guys are.
Yeah.
Just because not the how you make decisions necessarily, that's very important, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been thinking about the importance of just making a decision.
Right.
And I wrote down this quote. I love quotes.
It's from Elmo.
This is Mac's podcast quote.
So I don't even know who says it. I think a lot of people have said this. I guess
quote.
I'll say it. It says the best test in freedom is not what we are free to do, but what we are free not to do. So like, I think it was Benjamin Franklin actually. So
Who?
Ben Franklin.
I thought you said Ben Rick Franklin.
Who's that? Flair?
You know. Just like when you make a decision, and speaking in freedom, like the quote is like, you can't be free to do everything. Like you have to make a decision that limits you in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get married, you made a decision, but you're free now in a way to live your life without all these distractions of other women
Right.
and possibilities.
For sure.
But it also limits you. So like you have less freedom because you made that decision, but in a way you have way more freedom because it frees up your mental mind.
Right.
And just the importance of making a decision. And I was just thinking about this golfing too. Like you've got 200 yards to the green over water, 230 yards to the green. Do you make a decision to go for it, or do you make a decision to lay up? If you grab the club to go for it, but in the back of your mind you're thinking, I shouldn't be doing this right now, you're going to mess up the swing.
Yeah.
You haven't made a real decision to go for it.
Dude, I literally missed a putt yesterday because of that. Because I was thinking I should play it out a little bit more break and let it die into the cup. And then as I was thinking that, I was like, no, hit it firm. And then I played the line for the dying into the cup, and I hit it firm and missed the putt. And it was so stupid because I was thinking, literally as soon as I missed, I was like, why do they do that?
Yeah,
like,
and it's that like in the back of your mind, there's this chatter, and it's there because you haven't made a real decision.
Right.
And so like choosing who to be with, you have to decide.
Yeah.
I'm going to be with this person. And when you just make that decision, the thoughts of other possibilities go away. It frees you up. When you decide to go all in your business, it frees you up to go all in versus being on the fence.
Right.
It's like this scripture, God would rather you be hot or cold. Don't be in the middle.
Right.
Either choose not to do it or choose to do it.
Right.
But make a decision decision fast.
Yeah. It says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Yeah.
I was going to say something, but now I can't say it because you just said a Bible verse.
Yeah.
But basically just like stop tiptoeing.
Right.
Like it's the old, like, don't just dip your toes in, like get in the pool.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you make a decision, stand by it.
Right.
Like
Yes.
be confident in it.
Yeah.
And unless you know that you're going to be confident in that decision, even with something as little as golf, like don't do it.
Do you guys think that you should make decisions fast and change them
It
slowly?
depends.
Or do you think you should make decisions slowly and change them fast?
I-
Because I've heard both ways.
Really?
I think
I
it
was just
depends.
reading the quote that said, I think it's a Napoleon Hill quote. I may be wrong. It might be Andrew Carnegie, but he says that once all of the information and facts are presented, you should make a decision quickly and change it sparingly. And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Once all the facts are presented.
That's why I think it depends, because some decisions are very easy to make. Like you have
Right.
all the information, or you don't need a lot of information. But some, namely in like relationships and business, it takes a while to get the information that you need to make a decision. And that's why I think a lot of people fail in startups or, in business, is because they just want to change. They want to like, yes, 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 or no, no, no. And they'll make the wrong decision and they look like a fool.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about like the consequences of decision, because we talked about like the benefits of making a decision, because it kind of frees you up to but if you don't make a decision, if you are very, very slow to make a decision, what are some consequences there? I can think of so many.
Yeah, I mean, your whole life is just a disaster.
Yeah.
You're wasting so much time at the crossroads, and you're not moving forward.
I think anxiety. Would be
I literally have that in my
one.
notes.
Yeah. A huge one would be anxiety.
Yeah.
Stress. And that always leads to like just a mountain of other problems. Depression.
Right.
Like.
You okay, Zach?
No, I'm just saying, like,
Is there a decision that you need to make in your life?
No.
Wearing all black.
No, yeah.
I find it making decisions easy, but there are people like my sister, and she's never going to hear this, so I'm actually okay with saying this, but like.
It's going viral.
Yeah. She gets anxiety so fast and so easy with everything.
I know so many people like that.
And
it's not uncommon.
And I think growing up, that's why we butt heads a lot.
So, camera one died, so we're
were saying
keep this going.
That's why you and your sister butt heads a lot.
I don't know. I mean, my biggest flaw, I think, as a human, is empathy. And it's because I think largely because my decision-making process and how I live my life is just so very
logical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I find it so much easier to make decisions and live my life in a logical way. But I can see the opposite having such a hard impact on other people's lives, where everything you do is so emotionally charged and driven, like, then everything is so emotional. And then you start having all those other anxiety, stress, everything like that.
Yeah, and I think it can be really hard for people who are more anxious naturally, like women in particular are, just in terms of personality traits, are typically more neurotic than men are, so they're more anxious and nervous about things. So like the idea of making a decision super quickly makes them nervous, because it's like, well, what if I make the wrong decision? And then I'm going to have all these consequences, and it's like, it's just it's something that you need to build if you struggle with, I think.
Where I see a lot of people struggle is they make a decision to do something for X amount of time and they quit halfway through. It's like, that wasn't a real decision.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, I don't know if it's a muscle that you have to build, but like, I feel like Rossi and I are very good at making decisions and like committing to those decisions. I don't know if it's a muscle that you have to work at to ultimately like truly decide. Like Josh always talks about, when you make a decision, decide. It's like suicide. It's like it's like rooted in death. You're putting to death all other options when you decide to make a decision.
Right.
And I don't know how to get there. I think that I've gotten better at it, so it might be a muscle. But that's where I see a lot of people struggle, is they say they want to do something, they start, and they quit.
I think it's just a personal growth thing. Like,
definitely.
you go through enough situations that you know how to react when certain things happen.
Right. There's definitely an element to that where you need to be thinking in order to...
Pull it away from your skin.
You need to be thinking in order to even get to that place of personal development, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think we should wrap this up. This is a great podcast, Zach. Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for being on, bro.
Yeah. We're sponsored by Lucy, so please feel free to use the code That's Not Real.
Yeah.
As you
use
type
any
it in.
code you want, and it's going to say code does not work. You need to use the AGB Mindset
to get 50% off.
100% off.
Fuels the conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for listening again. Appreciate the support, and feel free to subscribe for more AGB content.
Yeah, our all of our social medias will be linked in the show notes below, so you can check that out. And then we will see you in the next podcast.
Yep, I'm single, so hit me up.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody,
He's very seductive.
no matter who you are.
I had a hard time staying away from him on this couch.
We all got super close to each other somehow after this podcast.
It's because I'm so seductive I turned the camera off.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the AGB Mindset Podcast. If this message has inspired you to always get better, please help us spread the word by sharing with a friend.
We would also greatly appreciate if you would leave a rating and review on whatever platform you're on. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all social platforms so you never miss out on future AGB content. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game.